Antiques and Collectibles, and we buy and sell stuff for our two antique booths and our two antique malls that we're in, Maumee Antiques in Maumee, Ohio, and Plaza Antiques in Lincoln Park, Michigan. And today I'm going to show you all the things that are not fun to do when you're an antique dealer. I think it's a good idea to show people really what happens in this business, because you tend to see all the fun stuff where you find the great deals and you sell things for a great price, but you need to know the background work, because that is not always so fun. And we're going to start with this thing. I am on my way to Maumee Antique Mall, and I have to take 75 most of the way, and the driving is horrendous. This is not fun. It's a good 45-50 minutes from my house, and I just dread this drive. But the mall is so wonderful. It's definitely worth it, but the drive is not fun at all. So that's the first thing on our things that are not fun to do, is driving. And also, filling your tank up with gas. That is not fun either. I'm down to about, I don't know if you can see it, about a quarter of a tank, and I'm hoping I can get to Ohio because gas is a little bit cheaper there. So I probably go through in gas between $30 and $60 a week. Sorry about that. I had lots of people on the highway. They're all driving like crazy maniacs this morning. It's a Monday morning. So yeah, between about $30 and $50 a week. Sometimes it's a little bit more. It depends on if there's citywide sales, it's going to be a little bit more. But for the most part, going to both malls and a few little garage sales around the area probably is about $30-40. And that is not fun. Now, when I go places, I will run every errand that I ever needed to do. I'm not a person that's going to drive every day and do every little thing. I'm going to make a route and do about 20 things when I'm out. So that definitely helps. So that is the not fun part of being an antique dealer. So we got our cleaning supplies here, and today we're going to do a not so fun activity. We are going to go clean the shelves at Maumee. We're just going to do one side. I did the other side a couple weeks ago, so we're going to go do that today. Take a look at these shelves. They are really filthy and dirty, and I'm moving things around within the booth here, so I am cleaning the shelves while I do it, because you might as well just pull it all off and take care of that. I'm going to put the red over here in the front and then the blue in the red spot. So down here on the floor, I have a lot of the blue stuff that I've pulled out, and I also need to wipe down the actual objects too, because they can get messy too. So this takes a long time, wiping down these shelves and pulling all this stuff down, and it's a good time to organize it too when you're going to do all this work. But yep, so washing down these shelves, washing down the items you have. Things get dusty and people don't want to buy things that are dirty, so you have to do this now and again. Get this all cleaned up. So this is some of the not fun part about being an antique dealer. I got all these baby dolls here, and they are a mess. So I got to wash them all. I got the clothes soaking in detergent right now to try to get the stains out. But the fun part of antiquing is buying the stuff and setting it up in your booth. And this is the work that goes on behind the scenes. So let's see if we can get these clothes kind of cleaned up so we can put them on the line. You can see how dirty they are because the water is so dirty. And then some of these dolls have mildew on them, so I'm going to have to use some sort of bleach or something. I'm not sure yet. So anyway, so let's keep working on this. So we got the clothes washed. I had to wash them twice. They were filthy, but I think they turned out pretty good. Now I just got to put them on the line, and you don't have a clothesline. That makes it really tough, because a lot of this stuff you can't throw in a dryer, especially anything old. It'll probably disintegrate. So I'm going to hang it all on the line here, and I got a couple of dolls washed. One, the arms fell off when I washed it, so hopefully I can repair that. It's like a rubber band in the inside of the baby, but I've had to use toothbrushes on them because they're so filthy, and there's pink paint on a lot of them. So I don't know if they were in a room they were painting pink and they were kind of messy, or what the heck happened. So we still have to work on the dolls, but let's hang all these clothes on the line. So I put all the clothes on the line, and I put the dolls on the line, and when everything is dry, I'll have to iron these clothes too. But boy, what a mess. These dolls were filthy. I thought they had mildew on them, but I honestly think it might have been white paint. I think a kid painted their eyes, because it was, it didn't clean like mildew, it cleaned like paint. So anyways, I got about 6 more dolls someplace. I'm going to have to go dig around and find it. And I'll show you when I get them all done. So another thing I got to do besides clean up all these dolls today is I got to clean up all this doll furniture. I'm going to have to take a toothbrush to most of it. The dolls I got for $1 a piece, which was a really good deal. This stuff came with a giant tin house, which I furnished, and all this furniture here, which I got another tin house in the barn for $30. So that wasn't too bad. The furniture alone can be pretty pricey. So we're going to dump it in this bucket here. I usually try to do this stuff outside. It's a little tougher in the winter, but I don't get as much stuff in the winter. And then it can dry really nice outside. So let's get washing it. So I got the furniture in soapy water, and I got to take a toothbrush to most of it, which is kind of hard to do one-handed. But I usually take a toothbrush and run it all over the surface of it to get any kind of little black marks or anything out. And then I'm going to put it back in this bucket to rinse. So we washed all our dollhouse furniture, and I got to show you a couple things that are just kind of funny. You can tell this stuff is old because check this out. This is an old sewing machine. And the top lifts up, and there's the sewing machine. Isn't that cool? And then the other reason you can really tell it's old is check this piece out. I about cracked up and I saw that this is a smoking stand. So this was in a dollhouse back probably in the 40s. So isn't that funny? Things have certainly changed. So yeah, I got a lot of good furniture. I'm going to be able to furnish a tin house that I have in the barn. And then the rest of this I'm just going to go ahead and sell. So we did pretty good with this, plus the tin house and all the furniture that I already have for sale for around $100 at Maumee. So a lot of work though. Cleaning all this stuff is not fun. I had to show you one more thing. Check this out. This is an old TV stand, and you move it like that, and there's the TV. Pretty cool. You move it like that, and the TV slides down and it is covered. How funny. So we got to clean up all these little pot things, and let me tell you, people are filthy. So this is part of the jobs that are definitely not fun to do when you're an antique dealer. Put a little soap on there, and I usually typically use a toothbrush. Sometimes I even take it outside because it's so dirty. I don't even want it in my house. This is probably in about that category. First, I'm doing this with one hand. It's not so easy. So I have toothbrushes, and I have an assortment of brushes and scrubby things that I use that I don't use in my house. So definitely one of the not fun things to do when you're an antique dealer. So I got all these little pots washed, and sometimes you uncover things when you're washing things, and this guy here has a big crack on his tail, so he's kind of pretty much worthless. But you know, just as a tip, if you want to get more money for your items, you have to clean it. It's not fun to clean anybody else's mess, believe me, because I've cleaned a lot of it, and it gets pretty nasty. Because then you have to clean your own sinks, and you have to do all that afterwards, because all that dirt went in there. But, and another tip on these things, when you get these little pots, if you're going to pack them up, I pack them up and put them in the barn. They got to be really dry, because things will crack if there's any moisture in them in the winter, especially in Michigan here. So, definitely a not fun part of being an antique dealer. Organizing is something you have to do a lot when you're in an antique mall. If you keep the things in the same spots, people tend to overlook them. So it's really important that you move things around. I took all that red stuff that you just saw previously, and I am putting it all into the blue side, and then I'm going to take all the blue side and put it into the red side. And even though it seems kind of redundant, it's really important because people tend to look at the same things when they look at your booth. So here's the red side all redone, and it looks all new because I pulled things from the bottom shelves and put them up higher, and vice versa, so that people can see it. So I redid this whole section here with the red and the blue and the pink. The pink I kind of left stationary between the two, but I washed down those shelves too and reorganized that. But yeah, I think it turned out nice to put the red on one side and the blue on the other. And it's all new to the folks, and they think you brought all kinds of new stuff in. And then as we take a quick look at it again, you could see where the red transitions to pink and then to blue. And there's my clothing. And I still have to do the purple shelf, so that's going to be quite a mess. And the toys are always a mess. And then over here, I did this side the previous week with the yellows and the oranges and the greens and browns. So that one's all been done. Another thing you have to do when you organize is the jewelry is constantly a disaster. And this particular rack, I have to put like a stretchy one on the end because I think people take the rack and they push it real fast to rotate it and things just fly all over the place. So I have to do that and make sure there's a stretchy one on the end to kind of hold it on. And these are things that I constantly find of other people's that are in my booth. You always have to get all that stuff out. There's a table in the front where you could take all that stuff to, and the workers will put it in the appropriate booth. Toys, organizing toys is an every week job. The toys are always a disaster. I think they're back here playing in here. I'm not sure. But at least when I see it a disaster, I know I've made some sales. So I have some bins on the floor that I have to reorganize every time I come in. They're kind of like bag lots of various different little toys. So the best thing to do is just pull them all out and start all over again. So, and then you find things that are not supposed to be in there because I have a crate of 9-inch dolls. So I put all those back where they need to go. And here it is done. And what I did is I put the bigger bags on the bottom and I put the smaller ones on top so they could see as many objects as possible when they're searching through there. And that way they can kind of see what is available. And I redid these shelves also to kind of clean it up a bit. Still pretty messy, but definitely better than it was. The purses are another disaster. Every week the purses are a disaster. I don't know what's going on back here, and the hats. But it is always all over the place. So this always takes me time to get the clutches in one area and get the gold and silver and white purses in one area and all the Vera Bradleys in one area and the hats where they belong. That is definitely a weekly organizing thing that has to happen. So it takes time. And then the other thing too is with the jewelry, there is always necklaces all over the place. And I try to color coat the necklaces either by silver or gold or by the particular color that's on them. But they are always everywhere. So that's a constant reorganizing that has to happen. And the good part is, people are shopping in your booth. So even though it gets frustrating sometimes and it's a lot of work, you know that things are selling. And that's the most important part. So that's got redone here. It looks a little bit better. And I have some cheaper rings that I keep out. I always check them, make sure if they need to be refilled or not. And then we're going to go around the side. The earrings are always a disaster. So I have to check my 2 earring racks. And also I have a tiered thing there with pins in it. And that's always a disaster too. So all of that needs to be reorganized. That looks a little bit better. I got all the Halloween stuff on the top. This was done during Halloween time. And my racks are complete. So this is one of the items that are not fun, and it's called hauling stuff. You have to haul stuff from the garage sales. You have to haul stuff in your house. You have to haul stuff from out of your house. You have to clean the stuff. And then you have to haul it to the mall. So take a look at what kind of haul we got. I always joke around that I never have to go to the gym because I'm always hauling so much stuff. So take a look at my back seat. Holy moly, there's a lot of stuff back there. So that is definitely the not fun part about being an antique dealer. So look at all this stuff here we got to unload. Luckily I got like this big cart here that I can put everything on at Maumee Antiques. The other antique mall, sometimes I use a cart on my own. They do have some carts there too. But this one, I have a double booth, so it's quite an ordeal. So we got to put all this stuff Sorry about the camera being wanky. All this stuff's got to go on the cart to go in. So hauling is the not fun part. Look at this haul. Holy moly. Now I got to somehow get this into the mall without it all falling all to pieces. So we'll see how this goes. So this is going to be a bit of a challenge to try to get this in without anything falling. I always tend to overfill things. So not only do you have to load stuff, you have to unload stuff. So I got this big cart that's got to fit somehow in my car. It's not going to be an easy feat, let me tell you. So we'll get maybe the signs all out, and then I'll try to, I don't think I can lift this, because they're all wood signs. So let's see how we can get this in. So we got it all in there, believe it or not. I had to take all the signs out, and it barely fit. And it really stinks when you bring a big load of stuff and then you come home with as big a load. But this basket of signs I'm going to take to the shows. I got them on sale for $2 each, which is basically what I paid for a lot of them. But I'm just clearancing them, and I want to get rid of them all. So we got it in there, so that's a good thing. So when you go to the antique malls, there's always something. I mean, we don't have a lot of theft, but now and then we do have some random theft. Like I had this, I think it's a Mr. Christmas jukebox, and I had the plugs and everything, and I had them taped on there really majorly. They stole the plug. It's like, what? That's like a plug that's universal. I don't quite get it. But they had to work really hard to get all that tape off to try to get that plug out of there. So it makes it kind of tough, because now I have to repair that or get a new plug. Another thing I find is these tags all around. They rip tags off of things, and that's often a stolen item. Sometimes they fall off, but what happens is if they don't get caught with the tag on the item when they walk out of the mall, it's really hard to prove that it was a theft. So a lot of times I find these little tags ripped off throughout the booth. And even sometimes I find a pile of them in a corner of a shelf, and they can be even stuff from other dealers. So I know something's been going on. But like I said, it doesn't happen that often, and it's definitely worth being into. But it is part of the business. You are going to have theft. You are going to have to repair things. The jewelry oftentimes needs to be repaired. Sometimes this happens. I had these dolls, and 2 of them were gone. I thought they were stolen. And voila, they showed up again. All 3 of them are here. So sometimes people pick things up and they put them in other booths. And it takes maybe a few weeks for you to get them back in your booth, because when that dealer comes in there and they pull out all their stuff that's not theirs, they will put it on a table to go back. So sometimes it isn't a theft. Sometimes it's just lost within the mall. And the earrings, like I said, it can be tough. A lot of times rhinestones fall out. There'll be little broken pieces. Sometimes I can fix them. Sometimes they're unrepairable, but I try to fix as much as I can. I have a little stash of stones and whatnot to kind of fix the jewelry, but this is what happens: is sometimes all the jewelry gets thrown all around and even stuck behind shelves like this, which puts them at risk for being broken. So there's a lot of repairing that goes on. There is some theft. It's not too bad, definitely not enough to deter me from the business, but it's just part of the reality of any place that you're in, malls or shows or whatnot. You're going to have a little bit of that. So that's just part of the business. And I couldn't get these bracelets out. I found a sword so I could get them out. They were way stuck underneath my table there and behind that shelf. Any little crevice it seems like jewelry falls into. But this bracelet seems to be in good shape, so that's good. Maybe a little dusty, but at least it is in good shape and not broken. So I can just replace it on the rack. And this particular day, there was lots of bracelets running around. You just don't know exactly what's going on when there's so much jewelry all over the table. And then the racks of earrings, like I said, sometimes one is missing. Sometimes one will be on the other side of the booth. I think what happens is they try on one and they forget to put it back on the card, or too busy to do that or whatnot, and I try to find all the pairs so that the earrings are saleable again. So that's part of having a booth, is lots of repairing and some theft. And sometimes things get misplaced in other booths, and you just have to wait or kind of go search around. If it's something that's really big, you can maybe find it in somebody else's booth. But so that's not fun. So this is definitely one of the things that are not fun to do. As you can see, my barn floor is a disaster. And organizing storage, and getting ready for shows and different seasons, it's crazy around here. So we had to pull the Kodiak out. I don't know if you can see it very well. And look at this mess. So in the fall, early fall, what I have to do is pull out everything out of my storage in the barn, lay it all over the barn, and separate it from Christmas and Halloween, fall type items. And I get it all organized before the cold weather sets in. And then we divvy it out towards malls and shows and whatnot. So I have a display here going, all the crap in my barn you can see, for pumpkins. I got this nice old like laundry type of cart. So these little pumpkins here I got at a bin sale. I got a whole case of them. They're really cute. I'm only going to put a couple bucks a piece on them. I thought those would be kind of fun for the holidays. So let's fill this bin with a whole bunch of them, see what they look like. So I got all those pumpkins in there, and it's, if you take it to a show, it's easy. You just put a tag on the front of this thing saying how much you're going to charge for them. But if I would take all this to the mall, then I would have to individually price all this. So storage, organization, and rounding up things for shows, definitely not a fun thing to do as an antique dealer. This is the not so fun part about antiquing. Your car looks like this all the time. And a lot of times I have to put all the stuff in the garage until I can gather it enough together to get it in the house to go ahead and price it. So we're going to move all this stuff to the front of the garage here. And I'm going to try to do this with one hand on the camera and one hand on the... So I cleaned out most of my garage. It looks a lot better. And what I typically do is put it here in the front of my car. And then I'm trying to keep up this summer, not always so successfully, to get everything out of here as soon as I bring it in within a few days. So let's get a few more baskets. And as you can see, I buy clothes sometimes at these sales. Sometimes the clothes have the tags on it. So we're going to get all this stuff in there and take a load in. So this little pile of stuff here is going to have to get all processed. And this is the not so fun part of being an antique dealer. So when I'm heading out again to a subdivision sale, so I'm sure this pile will be added to before the end of the weekend. Another thing that is not fun to do as an antique dealer is doing tags. I primarily use these swing tags with the strings on them because one of the malls I'm in, they take the tags off. So it's a lot easier for the folks working if you do it like this. So when I do the jewelry, I will use a larger tag for the cheaper items, and then I will use a tag this size for the smaller items. And that helps me a lot because I have a cabinet full of jewelry, and when I'm pulling things out, I'll know which of the things need to belong in cases. So anything with a small tag typically needs to go in a case jewelry wise, and anything with a big tag doesn't. And the big tags I use for the other types of items too. So the first thing I do is I put my dealer number in the corner. So here's my dealer number. I usually put it in the corner. You could probably put it in the corner of either side. And I always use a red pin. One of the malls that I was in years ago required us to put the dealer number in red, and I just stuck with that. I thought that was a great idea. So it makes it really clear then for the folks to determine what booth that this item came from. The next thing that I do is I put a code, and people can do this how they want. Sometimes codes relate to the inventory you have. Sometimes it relates to the price you paid. I have a little key, so my codes may seem random, but I have a key that corresponds to it. And then I also put, a lot of times I'll put a J if it's jewelry behind the codes. So you can decide how you want to do this yourself, but that's how I do that with my codes. The next thing I do is I put a description of the item. This is a stone pin, and then I put the price on the front, and I also put the price on the back so that if the tag is flipped over in a showcase or on the counter, it's easy for people to determine what price they paid for it. Now, back when I was in that antique mall that had the red numbers for the dealer codes, they made us take a marketing class, and they highly encouraged everyone to put 99 after every price, and I was kind of mad about this for a while, but when I did it, I realized that I made $1 more on pretty much everything that I sold there. So I think it was a pretty good idea. It was kind of a marketing strategy. People tend to look at the first number rather than the change behind it, so that's something I just stuck with. It kind of helps me. I keep my prices as low as possible, but that extra $1 really helps when you're trying to make a profit in this business. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie this tag on, and sometimes I use packing tape and just take the tape and put it over the string, but when I'm doing jewelry I tie it on. So there's something important here that needs to be shown. I'm going to put it on this pin here to show you. So when you tie these things on, and this is not the best spot to tie it on, but I just wanted to show you for demonstration because this is kind of on the pin and they can slide it right off. You'll notice these tags have a long string, and if you just put them on by the long string, your tag will be hanging off quite a bit from the object. And I always tie an extra knot here to keep the tag close to it, and mainly I do this so that the tag can't be slipped off the item. Now this is not in a great spot because I can slip right off the pin, but I just wanted to show you the tags because I have actually been in a mall in the past where there was somebody coming in and they were changing tags, and they would pull tags off of various objects that were cheap and put it on expensive things that they wanted to purchase. So it became a big problem. So I just got in the habit of tying my string tags so they were tighter, and that this portion here couldn't slip through the string so easily. So even though this is not a great spot here, I just wanted to show you how it's really important to tie your tags so that there's not much leeway on that string. And then I take a scissors typically and cut this off, this little tail off. So sometimes I'll use sticker tags on my earring cards. I typically use those, and those work out really well. But most often I use the string tags just so it's easier for them all. So this process takes a very, very long time, especially if you do jewelry like I do. In fact, a lot of dealers won't even deal in jewelry because it's just very time consuming. I enjoy it. A lot of times I'll do it in front of the TV at night. It keeps my hands busy, but a lot of people don't enjoy it. So this is going to take you hours and hours to do because everything you bring in that mall has to have a tag on it so that the people at the front desk will know exactly what it is and who it belongs to. So this is definitely the not fun part about being in an antique dealer or being in an antique mall. Here's another example of some tags that I just did. These shirts here, I actually got these at the bin store for a really good price. They're Barbie shirts. Barbie's kind of hot right now because of the movie. So I've done the tags for these, put my codes, put my dealer number, my codes, the description, and then the price on both sides. And what I do with this is clothing. Sometimes they have a tag and you can hang it on with their tag, because a lot of times I buy stuff from the bin store that's new. Even though it's an antique mall, I try to buy collectible stuff too. So I put this on a pin, and I put it on the side of the pin that doesn't open so it can't slide off easily. And then I usually try to attach it like at a seam or someplace where it won't destroy the front of the shirt. because a lot of times you can get little flaws in the shirt if you're not careful with this. So this is just another way that I do tags. So one of the things that are definitely not fun about the antique business is paperwork. And no matter what job you do, there's always going to be a certain extent of paperwork, which is not fun. So at the end of the month of both of the antique malls, I get a printout like this, and it lists out the date that things were sold, the invoice number, my codes, the description of the object, the ticket price, the net price, any credit card fees or and commissions, and then the final amount and the sales tax. Now, what's really nice about all this is that the malls pay the sales tax for us. So that's really awesome. Now, when I do shows, I have to pay my own sales tax, so that's a different amount of paperwork that has to go into it. So when I get a printout like this, what I do is my codes and my tickets refer to how much I paid. I'll go through all these items and I will find out how much I paid for each of them, and then I can find out my my profit at the end of this paperwork. So what I have to do is I do this every month, and then at the end of the year I compile it all, and we have an accountant that helps us. But regardless, this is definitely something that's necessary but not fun when you're an antique dealer. So I hope I've covered everything that are the not fun things about being an antique dealer. I think that before you get into this business, you really need to know what it entitles. A lot of times on our YouTubes and even on mine, you see the fun of finding the item and putting the items in the booth, but there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes, and I wanted to just let you folks know what kind of things you're going to be involved in if you get into this business. This is something that you have to do only if you love it. I love it, and this is my retirement job, and I'm having fun doing it, but it's definitely probably more hours than I worked when I was working before I retired. So it has to be something you love, and if you love it, you'll do well and you'll be successful, hopefully. So this is Lou from Lou's Antiques and Collectibles saying goodbye, and we'll see you again. Bye.